Hey, it's Andy from Beyond Guitar, and welcome to Beautiful and Interesting Chords, episode 11. All right, and so let's go ahead and take a look at the interesting chords that we're going to play today. Let's start from the very top. Okay, I have this first riff, E add 9. A little bit of a stretch, but that's okay. What is that? That's an E major chord plus the ninth. Adds just a little bit of dissonance. Alright, so we're kind of establishing the key of E from the very beginning. Okay, and then on the next chord it says G, so it's a G chord. But then we're going to add in a dissonant note, sharp 11. And that adds a nice dissonance to it. Okay, and then finally we have an A chord. You could just play a basic A major chord. But again, let's add the ninth. And that gives you a nice dissonance there. So every chord has just a little bit of dissonance. Okay, and here's the rhythm. Alright, and if you want to see the chord charts, we can just scroll to the chord charts. Bam. And there's what our chord charts look like. And now you can see the little dots with the finger numbers, okay? E add 9, G with the sharp 11, and then A add 9. Okay, let's hear how that sounds. How does it hear, how does it sound when you hear it? And so let's go ahead and pull up our Logic Pro session. I went ahead and programmed in all these chords. Okay, and you can download this file. I'll put the download in the description down below. Okay, and here's the track. Alright, so what do you play over the top of this? Well, you could play you could play an E major scale. Just over the E chord though, but then it changes, right? So then over the G, you would have to play something else. G Lydian works. And then over the A, what do you do? A Mixolydian. Okay, G Lydian and A Mixolydian are all the same notes. It's like the key of D, right? Okay, so what you do is you start out with the E scale. You can even play E Lydian if you're brave, okay? Over the E. E Lydian over E. And then over the G and the A chord, you just play a D scale. All right, let's see how that sounds. Here it goes. Okay, there we go. Let's keep going. next section of the song. Let's go into the next section. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and we're going to take a look at what I've written on the guitar tab. Okay, here it says play a C chord and then play a B7. All right, we got a C, we got a B7, then play C, then play B7. Okay, what should we play next? Should we play C and then B7? Well, we'd just be repeating ourselves. All right, so number one rule of songwriting or orchestration or basically composing music, repeat yourself. Definitely it's based on repeats. You know, if you have a great idea, repeat it. However, in rock songs, it's too much. Like repeating 4 times. Riff A, play it 4 times. Next riff, play it 4 times. Verse riff, play it 4 times. Chorus riff, play it 4 times. Here's the bridge. Guess what? Let's play it 4 times. Too much predictability with just everything's always 4 times. That's too much, okay? Too much 4 times on everything. I know it sounds good to play things 4 times, then 4 times, and then 4 times, and then 4 times, but then it's like too predictable, right? Too much predictability. Hey, Billy Ray in Germany, thanks for tuning in and digging the sharp 11 there. Hey, I've been really having a lot of fun working with Steve on different projects, and I think Steve's going to come over tonight. We're going to listen to some of your old tapes from the 90s, and in my Logic Pro program, I can actually take out the vocals, the bass, the drums, and the guitar and put them on separate tracks. Isn't that cool? Anyways, let's just keep going with this. All right, so you got your C, you got your B, you got a C, you got a B. Where should we go? Should we play it again? Well, we could play C. Go someplace new and surprise everybody. D. And now E. So we used the Iron Maiden chord progression. We went C, D, E, the climb up. Whole step apart on every chord. Hey, and we're back to E, and that's where we wanted to get to anyway. We want to go back to E. All right, and so how do we get there? We climbed up to it, and we didn't just go C, B, C, B, C, B, C, B. And so this riff actually kind of travels up at the end, so that makes it more interesting. Okay, and what do you play over this? Well, you could play C Lydian, and then B, like a B7 arpeggio or B Mixolydian. Whoops. Is there one scale that works over both of those? Probably not. I would use a different scale for each one of those chords. Okay, let's see how it sounds if I go ahead and pull up the Logic Pro session, and we'll figure out something to. All right, so let's go ahead and press the Logic Pro button. Here we go. There's our session. All right, and I'm going to just go ahead and highlight this section here. And let's see how it sounds. Okay, now let's see if I can play something over the top of it. Okay, if you notice, what I did is I had the whole band go C, B, C, B, C, D, and then everybody drops out, and only one guitar player plays the E by themselves. It's a solo. Alright, so just one player plays there, and then everybody comes back in after that. Alright, so if you're composing a song and you're working on your songwriting and your composition, one of the things you can do is really focus on who comes in and who leaves. It's like a play. You know, if you're Shakespeare, an actor comes on stage, another actor leaves. Who's coming onto the stage? Who's in the spotlight? Who's backstage? Who's in the foreground? Who's in the background? Who comes and goes? Okay, so the band might come and go. The band might play, stop, then come back in again. And that guitar player, he gets to play one chord, okay, by himself while no one else is playing. And that makes it a lot more interesting. And one thing that you can listen to is orchestra music, and you can follow the score and you can see how people come and go. But if you don't like classical music and you just like rock, just look at Green Day, right? On their first album, they just played as loud as they could all the time, and everybody plays all the time. And then as each album progressed and as they kind of musically matured and got better and better, you'll notice that there's a lot of instruments starting and stopping. The guitar comes in, the guitar stops. Then it's bass and drums. Then it's just drums. Then it's just bass. Then it's everybody. So it's coming and going. And so you call that texture. Okay, but anyways, so that is kind of a, I wouldn't say a cliche chord progression to go C, B, C, B, C, B like that, but that's pretty widely used in jazz to use two chords that are a half step apart like that. It really builds tension if you just keep repeating it a lot. Okay, let's move on to the last and most interesting chord progression here in this particular song. And this is where we get into the beautiful and interesting chords. Alright, so I was asking myself, could I play an E and a B flat like Black Sabbath or like Metallica, but make it more like jazz, make it interesting? Okay, I guess I could play an E power chord. I guess I could play a B flat power chord. What could you do with that? So that's kind of limiting, right? If I just play an E and a B flat. There's only one way that can sound, right? So I was asking myself, how can I make that more interesting? And so what I did was I made an E minor 9. I put the ninth in there. And that adds a lot of dissonance to it. Okay, and then where am I going to go with my B flat? Start with the power chord. Maybe I'll add the sixth in there. Has that D natural. Alright, and so as I play through this chord progression, the top two notes remain the same. I'm playing a G and a D. Basically what I'm doing is I'm playing an E minor, putting G, D on the top. Then I'm playing a B flat and putting G, D on the top. I have two notes that stay all time. Let's see what that looks like. What if I go ahead and I scroll to where we have those dots? Okay, here on the screen you see E minor 9 and then B flat 6. And there they are. Alright, and if you play it, it goes. Alright, let's hear how that sounds in the context of the music. So let's go ahead and pull up our Logic Pro session. You can download this Logic Pro session. I'll put the link after the live session's over. But anyway, here's our Logic Pro. And I'm just going to go ahead and start it right from where the cursor is so you can hear this riff. Here it goes. Okay, as you can tell, not only did I just play those two chords back and forth, there's some cello in there, and here's like the cello bits. And what I did with the time signature is the song is in 6/8. I don't know if you can see that. There it is right there. It's in 6/8. So we're rocking along in 6/8. And then halfway through this riff, the drummer changes the beat and it's 4/4. But the band keeps playing the same thing they were playing. And then after a bit, it's back to 6/8. So I kind of stole that idea from the song Brotherly. You should Google that song, Brotherly. It has the change from 6/8 to 4/4, and that just sounds epically cool in the middle of the song. Let's hear it one more time. Okay, you know what? Let's hear just the drums there. Okay, so we're in 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now switch to 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the interesting thing is, when it switches to 4/4, each one of the chords is 3 beats long. Okay, so there's our beautiful and interesting chords for the day. And so I wonder what music you could write with an E minor followed by a B flat. Okay, but don't just play standard old basic E minor and standard old basic B flat. What other notes could be interesting in there? So what I thought of is I would just put this G in the D, or maybe even add an octave like this. Maybe I'll just do this. Maybe I'll just play that over every chord. So over the E and over the B flat. E, B flat. And there's Beautiful and Interesting Chords, episode 11. Check the link for some downloads, and I'll see you next time, everybody.